My video. Can you guys see me now? Wonderful. So we are promoting camaraderie among students and faculty. That's why we're all here today, gathering together, having these warm welcomes, and going to have our speakers here today giving us some encouraging words, as well as to provide a safe space for students to seek support and express their concerns. And that's what we've been doing in our LinkedIn page, as well as our UAGC Connect, with just communing together and gathering and being able to discuss different points and celebrate together with our history of the university, as well as Black history overall. And now I would like to take the time to introduce our wonderful keynote speaker, Michael Turner, and let me tell you a little bit about him. Michael Turner is a doctoral student here at UAGC. He is studying psychology educational leadership. He is currently teaching as a special education math and science teacher, grades 8 through 12. Michael also coaches high school varsity girls basketball and works as a student success assistant in the Champs Peer Mentoring Group. He is also a father of 4, a pet dad, and enjoys learning and sharing valuable information with others. So I'd like to introduce you to our keynote speaker, Michael Turner. Thank you. He sure is a legend.
Thanks, Jade. I really appreciate that introduction. Thank you so much, Dr. Paul Pastoric, for introducing us, and Dr. Miller as well. I really appreciate, all of those introductions. Is definitely an honor to be here. I'm definitely humbled to be here. I'd just like to start off by saying, hello, UAGC, faculty and staff, Global Black Community Club members, and all other club members. Thank you for attending the first annual Global Black Community Meeting and Mini Conference, Education, Investment, Struggles, and Harvest. All powerful words. I am very honored and humbled to be here and be able to speak to you today. The first UAGC conference with all people of color. This is amazing. We aim to leave you all with something that will be useful and personal, useful for your personal and professional development. My goal is to help others, and I hope that help propels others to new heights and new beginnings and greater success. Success for me is success for others. This is most rewarding to me. As Jade, mentioned, my name is Michael Turner. I am an officer in the Global Black Community and other clubs. The Global Black Community is a family to me. It's one that I'm very proud to be a part of. Since our start last year, we've made major strides to network and build a meaningful community. This conference is a major milestone for the Global Black Community, for UAGC, and in our personal lives. I am a psychology student in the doctoral program at UAGC, studying educational leadership and contributing to the needs to reform in education is really what shapes my career goals. The doctoral program has aided me in achieving this goal, and I am also a student success assistant with the Champs Peer Mentoring Program at UAGC. And this mentorship and assisting students in higher education is something that also continues to guide me. Coaching basketball is something that I just really love to do. I don't know when I'll stop doing that. And even though I'm not from Michigan, moving to Flint and coaching basketball, helping others in educational capacities have continued to shape me as a leader. It has refined my journey and also pushed me to continue to learn and continue to share with others. And we are here today to share ideas, contribute, and move forward together. And I actually wanted to share my screen. Awesome. So although we are all different in some way, our differences are what make us all the same. This is what we all share in common. Different learning backgrounds, different learning goals, and different experiences make us more powerful when we all come together. All different, with different goals, using our diversity to help others. Thank you, UAGC and the Global Black Community, for helping turn this into a reality for our students. Thank you for the honor to speak to you at this conference, to be able to learn from great men and women, and to share motivation and contribute to helping others. Education is something dear to me. It's a huge part of who I am. I want to use it for as long as I can. Transformational leaders come in many forms and success measured in many ways. I want to be the extra voice saying, you can do it, and giving advice on how. It is often said that investing in yourself is the most profitable investment that one can make, and education can go as far as desired. Successful leaders from Bill Gates to Oprah Winfrey spread and inspire this. Even the hip hop mogul Jay-Z says, believing in oneself and knowing who you are, I mean, that's the foundation for everything great. I don't believe this means that anything will be handed down because we believe, but I do know from experience that believing is the foundation. Reading, watching, listening to others, planting seeds, setting realistic goals, and knowing that you and I are worth the time, are worth the sacrifice, and worth the effort to succeed. Education has not always been free and has not always been available to everyone. The option to further your journey, not always there. This is no longer the case, and many people fought just for everyone to have the ability to strive and be stronger than their struggle. Don't mistake it as an open path for an easy road, but do know that you are worth the travel. You are worth the journey to success. We all now have the opportunity to invest in ourselves and create a journey. We can challenge our limits, we can work harder and go farther. Enjoy every step, big and small, because we can create our future, because we are stronger than our struggle. The many individuals we have here today can attest to it. Thriving is to grow or to develop well or vigorously. This leads to prosperity and the flourishing of what is thriving. This means the seed that was planted is growing well, receiving water, and other supports that it needs. But the same goes for the flower that grows from the cracks in the concrete. Those thrive too, regardless of where growth started. The difference between thriving plants and thriving professionals is that we can share stories of how academic growth and professional development took place. My background was not fertile soil, but more like the crack in the concrete that society depicted could not produce a harvest. I moved around a lot from place to place in New York and then from place to place in Dallas. We settled down eventually and grew up in a house in Dallas with my mother and grandmother, uncles, cousins, and their children, and my siblings. There was not much attention put on individual success. The overcrowding kept me out of the house, and after what I saw from the good and bad, it ultimately made me love school. This does not mean I made the best choices throughout. I had no guide or redirection or map telling me which way was the right way to go. So as a young Black male growing up, I knew success had to come from somewhere, somehow. And I wanted to help others get out too. I had enough examples in my household and environment on why I needed to pursue something. So growing up, I did let others control my passion for education. A roof was not always guaranteed. Electricity, not always guaranteed. Fun was a privilege, not a right as a kid. And peace was rare at times. I've lived in Salvation Armies, battered women's shelters, and homeless shelters early on. I had many siblings in many different homes. I was the youngest and had many indirect examples in front of me growing up. Growing up in a household, I may not have seen everyone invested in their education, but I was able to see others dream big. And I used this to fuel my drive at a young age. I decided young that whatever I set my eyes on, I would go 110% for it. And this is something that I wanted to share with others. In the household, though, we were all in our own world. We did not share much with each other about school or our social lives or anything. It was enough for me to seek that interest and enjoyment out of friends who too had dreams and aspirations, and I would give in to the fads and what my peers did. As I stated before, There was no guide, no redirection, no map telling me the right way to go, so I made my own. I tried to dress, act, and be cool, not knowing that being yourself is the coolest that one can be. I also did care about school, but didn't appear to care. My friends didn't care too much, so why should I appear to? I did love basketball and music, and in time I had more than one counselor advise me not to pursue challenging courses just because I didn't demonstrate, the want for it. I've had peers tell me I'm not good enough, I don't have what it takes, or that I don't come from a background for certain types of success. They just never seen it from people like me. What they did see was I end up in a juvenile center before I was in high school. Then they'd see me getting arrested when I was in high school. I was told my opportunity was limited by more than one person. And what was most eye-opening to me was that the people who said this also considered themselves to be the people who cared, trying to be real with me, looking out for what's best. Regardless, I still wanted to help them too. I had people telling me what my downfalls were going to be ahead of time. I still wanted to show them how exemplary I could be. I ran into a teacher from middle school when I was nearly an adult, and it was a bit saddening how shocked he was that I was still alive and a free man. Amidst some of the encouraging words I would receive here and there, it all balanced. I used it to fuel my drive. I had a chip on my shoulder, fire inside me. I wanted to prove others wrong. At a young age, I decided my purpose was to prove that you do not need to come from a good or wealthy family to succeed, and you do not need to be scouted young or sponsored by others to succeed. And I wanted to show people that you can start from that crack in the concrete and reap a plentiful harvest. Success stories seem so far away sometimes, and I want to be that connection for those I encounter, those I can inspire, and anyone needing a message or motivation of encouragement. In high school, I was able to maintain good grades and do pretty well in sports too. Everyone wanted to be the next Michael Jordan or Lil Wayne or J. Cole and many others. And I felt like I had what it took to get there. I worked hard on my academics and in basketball, trying to do more than everyone around me. People viewed my drive and considered me the ultimate dreamer. There were kids my age with sponsorships and major people backing them. I had me. I did not have multiple colleges knocking on my door offering a scholarship, but I took the initiative and reached out to colleges myself and arranged tryouts, and they eventually took place. My dad was mostly out of the house for months at a time, and my mom was busy trying to make ends meet. So, them being able to see me play a basketball game was special to me. Each of them only being able to see one game when I was in high school. And I still wanted to use that to help them overcome their struggles. And then 6 weeks into my senior year, we lost our home. I came from practice one evening, and my mother told me I had to pack up and that I'd be staying with a friend. It was not the first time that we lost our home, but it was the first time that I was not going to a shelter or another place for refuge with my mom. We didn't have time to pack, so we took what we can carry and we let the constable and the neighborhood collect the rest of our memories. I used this too to fuel my drive. I transferred schools, I started over, and I ascended quickly on the basketball team and continued my plans. I emailed over 100 colleges, I sent film, and I pled my case. My grades also helped facilitate some of those tryouts. I was lucky to have my pastor drive me to a tryout. He was generous and helpful in giving me a 2-hour ride for the tryout to Texas A&M. After the tryout that day, I did not make the team. I was discouraged about it. The number of colleges interested severely dwindled and were further and further away. I did have local community colleges interested, but they did not have dorms and a place to stay was very needed. I decided to attend A&M anyway with my friends and just try out when school started. They had dorms and that was most important to me. I lived with friends, relatives, even people I had just met or grown little acquaintance with the summer preparing for that year in college. And I wanted to use that experience to help people believe to continue to strive no matter the conditions. In the fall, it took me 12 days of tryouts to make the team, and I did. 2 days in, I faced an injury that would have me sit for the entire season. I was forced to have to try out again the next year as a walk on, since I walked on the first year and I did not make it a second time. My hopes for continuing my education and playing basketball were all up to a school in central Nebraska. I did well enough to make the team, but not on a scholarship that would cover my education. My first year in Nebraska was solely focused on basketball. I worked hard and ascended on a much smaller team competing for a lot lower stakes, but I just wanted to help and be a team player and have fun. My passion fueled me and I wanted to do great regardless of what level I was on, and I played some of my best basketball there. I was fearless and relentless on opponents, playing for more of a stress relief and mental healing, and wins just coming pretty easy. With exceptional teamwork, we were ranked for the first time in that school's history, ranked 24th in the nation on our way to the NAIA tournament. With great news, I received other great news. My first child was on the way. I'd like to say that I managed all my responsibilities well, but I had no one to measure management other than myself and people who too looked to me for guidance. Looking back, I managed as well as I could, but I was unprepared. I did not make the best choices step by step, which is critical for a timely success. And with a child on the way, competing against teammates and other teams, racing to get my education, I had to be timely. I did more stumbling than climbing at that point. And as we were getting knocked out of the Sweet 16, I was getting knocked around in other ways in life as well. So that summer, I dropped out and I entered as a free agent in Mexico in their three professional leagues. It was not the best decision with the new family on the way, and I would hear it constantly. I wanted money and success faster than the work I was putting in at the time, and this was my way of achieving it. My mother was being evicted from another home while I was in Mexico, and I wanted to prevent that, and I was able to help. After playing a half season, I breached my contract to come back and late enroll back in Nebraska. I could not share this with anyone that I played professional basketball, or it would void my collegiate basketball playing rights. So soon after, my first son was born, and soon after that, I released myself from the team and I was more focused on family and trying to keep it together. I was unsuccessful in keeping anything together at that point. Within months of playing professional basketball, I was homeless and I was unable to live on campus and unable to afford my own place. I lived in the Living Water Rescue Mission in York, Nebraska, and rode my bike to school. When they say they rode uphill both ways in the dead of winter with -2-degree weather and a -25-degree wind chill, that was me. I continued to train and try to receive an education, but mentally I was not focused. Living in a mission, having an entire college in town, watching my regression, wondering where my son and his mom went. I felt things were out of my control, and that was something that I just couldn't accept. So mid-season, after releasing myself from the team, I tried out for another school in Chicago, where I had a friend playing there as well. That's when life even moved faster. And I'm at my third college, credits dwindling, and my dream of playing professionally starting to slip away. I had to sit out for half the season due to a low transfer of credits. And after 4 years of school, I was only considered a second year student. Things didn't go too well there either. I checked out and well, I was ready for the grind to be over. I was more focused on my relaxation at this point. I started making choices that I knew were far from the right ones, and I began to put my education in jeopardy. I was putting my college basketball opportunities in jeopardy. I was of drinking age at this point, and with a basketball friend that I knew since A&M in the city of Chicago, having fun was just a regular thing, and it did catch the eyes of our teachers and coaches. And it wasn't long before I lost my last opportunity to play college basketball. I then went back to Mexico. I knew I could get money there, even though I burned bridges with my prior experience. This time, I was given a second chance and played harder than I ever believed. I wasn't going to mess this up. Nothing was going to take me away from Mexico unless it was an NBA contract. That's when I got another call. My second child was born. Not being there for his birth was more reason to come back to the States. So I moved to Michigan to be close, but my head, focus, and path remained skewed. I wanted to be a great basketball player and no longer cared about my education or work. My efforts outside of basketball were minimal. I put more effort into fun and being distracted, if anything. After tryouts with NBA G League teams went south, I had some decisions to make. I tried to get into real estate. I had gotten my real estate license in Michigan and began working for a small agency. My boss was a transactional leader and very demanding, and I wanted to be a team player and a high performer. But I was accused of things and had no leg to stand on, and it didn't last long. Still, with no guidance, no mentor direction, I was trying to be a dad on a McDonald's salary. There was no real money in semi-pro ball, and I have a family to take care of. I never finished school. I had no money or assets. My closest living relatives were 500 miles away and depended on me more than I did them. To this day, I would never bother them with my troubles. I was in debt, and the only opportunity I had to showcase my skills were lifting heavy boxes and pivoting and using long strides when shifting from the grill to the fryer. I was no longer in the South I had grew accustomed to, the riches and culture that it provided. I was in the North and experienced things that I hadn't before. Racism and stereotypes, even if meant to be endearing, were offensive. I was too busy trying to settle my mind while opening my eyes on what was going on in other Black and minority communities in this country. Not just racism, but the effects of redlining and the overall quality of education. Young Black children in Michigan experiencing hardships that I didn't in Texas, and it was eye-opening. My want to help and be a team player uh, ultimately prevailed. That's when I moved to Flint. That was probably the last year I kept in touch with any friends from high school or growing up. They thought I went mad or completely lost my mind. People flee the storm. Why steer right into it? I was like, why not? Every other obstacle in my life was meant for me to overcome, not break me. I grew less concerned about my comfort and more focused on my purpose. I really began to focus on not just my success, but other success on a serious level. Just helping with the bottled water distribution or cleaning up trash, I was able to do something. I wanted to reach young people that don't have greatness in front of them, but also to know that they don't have to come from greatness to be great, and that wisdom is something that will carry us. And it just started being received. I then enrolled in a school online. Can you guess where? I went to school for education, and I wanted to teach and coach. And within a year, I was able to complete my bachelor's degree, and I immediately went for my master's in special education. I began teaching and JV coaching in Byron, Michigan. Soon I got a head coaching position in Flint. The relationships I've built with the Flint community are priceless. A lot of my former students are now on their own journeys to success. Whether I gave them educational lessons or just lent an ear, I just was able to impact them, and that was most meaningful to me. Um, I feel really humbled to be a contribution to their success. A lot of them have their own harvest to come. Most of them have parents who are too in pursuit of success. And my goal is to help parents too. They never had a Black male special education teacher in their schools before. I was the first in the entire Genesee County. Regardless of this milestone, there are still obstacles that I face just attempting to help others and give back. Um, Teaching has been an obstacle, within itself. But every teacher, that you encounter is not, out for student success. And sometimes the administration loses sight as well. And reforming some of the practices that take place in Michigan and other places is something that I really want to do, especially in public schools. Um, Most teachers I know from Flint actually live on the outskirts and tour Flint like an abandoned war zone. And I brought my family here because I want to help. Oftentimes, individuals in the area are just not used to it, are just, unsure of what people who help have to offer. But this has been the first time that I was a part of a team that really appreciated my fit and gave me a real chance to prove that I can make a difference, for others. Um, but these challenges too, they've made me who I am. Every challenge has been a learning opportunity. It has given me more to share, more to show the importance of education and how we all can achieve it. It shows that no matter where you start, you do have a journey. It can be achieved. Uh, the only matter of importance is that you do start. It has allowed me to network for answers, and I am headed down a clear path. It has aided fuel to the educational fire that was reignited inside me. I then decided to pursue my doctorate in psychology, emphasizing in educational leadership. And this has given me more knowledge than I have ever imagined. Not only do I coach basketball, but I also mentor young men from Flint from grades, fourth grade through seniors in high school. And everything I've learned has been beneficial to my workplace and community. It has opened my eyes and path, knowing that I want to impact education on the highest levels. My applied doctoral project focuses on redlining and the effects on K through 12 education. My project aims to bring more education and awareness to the history then and now about how redlining contributed to the present digital divide in schools in the US. I would like to evaluate programs for an existing program or training that aims to reduce the digital divide. And I want to achieve this by conducting systematic literature reviews on current programs that educate or attempt to reduce the digital divide. There are specific examples of how my workplace and community could benefit from this program of evaluation. Um, there are currently no school administrations or community leaders bringing education or awareness to redlining or about how the digital divide came about in schools. Technology that was once utilized by fewer schools was increased due to the requirement that students learn virtually because of the pandemic. This project evaluation could lead to an improvement in digital and technological educational practices popularized by the pandemic. And these technological adaptations are convenient for middle to upper class communities, but a huge obstacle in low income neighborhoods. So strategies from this can be evaluated or created to combat while inspiring a generation through providing lost and important historical information and current events. It does not matter where you start or how many mistakes you've made. We are all great and all have a purpose and a reason to contribute. It does not matter who has your back as long as you care about yourself. For the rest of my life, I will have individuals who have an opinion, a different plan, but where my passion lies is where I will travel. No one can tell you that you cannot achieve or that this door will not open for you. Trust me, I've had everyone you can think telling me to go in other directions, but just like you, I know what my purpose is. Success still requires work and patience and determination. These things we all have inside us, and we have to tap into them to keep going. So don't let coworkers or family or friends play a role in deciding your success unless they are contributing. My mom would tell me if I don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all. Do what's right, no matter how big the obstacle is in front of you. So I like to tell people that the only thing they have to lose is nothing. Lessons, insight, and a plan to move forward are all gained. It is like the analogy of getting back on the bike. Even if you feel like you rode off a cliff, start climbing because fertile ground is beneath you. I am excited for everyone's progress, especially from this day forward. I am eager to hear advice from the great influential individuals that we have here today who have also overcome obstacles and now have best practices to share on striving, diligence, and taking steps to reap the harvest. Everyone speaking today has endured hardships, sometimes due to reasons that we should have long overcome. They face obstacles to this day for reasons that should be over and done with. Rather than ignore it, they embrace it and face it head on. They are contributing to the greater global good, and that's first and foremost in all of their work. So we appreciate you coming together to celebrate all the potential and greatness to come from all of you. And we all have different avenues and paths, but it's all about how we come together and bring those paths together that really just makes that difference. I'm very honored and humbled by the experience of speaking to you today, the first UAGC conference with all people of color. This is amazing. Thank you, GBC Club members, Dr. Newton Miller and Tameka Fitzpatrick for keeping the fire lit and always wanting more for higher education and our people. Your guidance and dedication to students is phenomenal. Thank you, Dr. Gina Freeman and Dr. Tracy Kaiser for providing knowledge and techniques for us all to grow. Everyone will benefit from the knowledge you bring. Thank you, Tierra Green, Jade Smith, and Marlo P. for being continued inspiration for our young people and striving adults. Your continued efforts will continue to make a difference in communities. Thank you, Dr. Newton Miller III, for keeping progression and helping others in the family. We are all family, wanting to head in similar directions, and now is a greater time than ever to come together and celebrate, inform, inspire, and help lead generations of students to success. Thank you, Jay Poach, GBC President, Dan and Rachel, GBC officers, for not only being ideal teammates, but ones who create excitement for our future. Thank you to everyone who is in attendance or who will view this conference. I am very humbled and excited for what is to come. Thank you.